Back to an episode with My Inspired TV where we find solutions in our situation. And today I have a very special guest from California, from Santa Barbara, a place I want to be so bad. So I have Erin DiAngelis in the hot seat today. She is a health to wealth coach who's going to really tell us today how we relate food to money. And this just intrigues me and I cannot wait to dive in. But she really works with people around toxic foods and how to heal your body. She's also a speaker, a yoga instructor. She's a wealth of information and I'm happy to have her today. So welcome, Erin. How are you?
Hi, Carrie. I'm great. I'm so excited to be with you today.
Awesome. So tell us, and I'd love to dive right in. First and foremost, give us a little background on Erin and how you discovered this health and wellness type of atmosphere.
Well, like most people, my journey started off years ago, and it was actually a struggle that brought me to the place that I am now. Even as a child, I had lots of stomach issues, and I was sensitive. So I think what was going on is I was absorbing everyone's emotions, and it was wreaking havoc on my body. I was getting these stomach aches all the time, and they were like this phantom thing. I would go to doctor after doctor trying to figure out what the problem was, and I got so frustrated. I mean, even as a kid, I was just like, oh, this is exhausting. And I realized that I had to take my health into my own hands because the doctors weren't finding the answers for me. And so that's what set me on this journey. And there were two components of that. One was finding the physical changes that I needed to make to empower my health and feel better in my body, but also understanding the emotional issues that were causing all of that pain, and that really it was my body's way of calling me, calling my attention and saying like, hey, you can't take on other people's problems like this. You've got to take care of yourself first. And it wasn't just stomach aches. I had mono. I had an eating disorder. I just worked myself to death, and so there were like all these different layers. And at the time, it was really tough, but I'm so grateful because it led me on this path. And first, I became a massage therapist, and so that was my first experience of actually giving joy to my body and someone else's body, like really understanding what it felt to just feel good in your body. And that was such a gift. It was incredible for me. And then from there, I went on to become a yoga instructor. And I remember working on a client once when she was having some struggles in her life, and I was like, I wish I could help her on a deeper level because these body issues, they have that other layer of the emotions. And that's when I realized I wanted to become a coach because the change wouldn't just last for the hour of the massage or the hour of the yoga class. It would continue to make shifts and changes in the client's life down the road. So that's how I got started on this journey.
I love it. So you wanted to make a bigger impact on people's lives. I like that. So,
Totally, and turn your struggle into a gift.
absolutely. I like to touch base on that. You said you're sensitive, and some people, I'm an empath, so I totally relate 100% and went through that journey of why do I feel so horrible and why do I feel so stressed out? And it wasn't my situation, it was the people next to me or in the office I was working in or the drama that was going on all around me, and I would just be drained by the end of the day. My
Yeah.
life was fine, but I felt like it was crashing all around me, taking on all of their stuff. So there's
Yeah.
like, the empath portion that some people aren't real familiar with, and then they call it HSP, highly sensitive person or whatever. So
hmm
when did you discover that part? I know there's a lot of people out there that have it and just don't know. Where did you get really clued in that that's who you are and that's what happened with you?
I don't think that it was just a pivotal moment for me. It was over time. I realized pretty early on that one of my strengths is that I have a loving heart, but then I also realized that it can be a weakness. And
Mhm.
I really do believe your greatest strength is also has a flip side. And if I didn't learn about boundaries and taking care of myself, then I could just give and give and give until I was empty.
Right.
So, of course, there were people in my life who at the time it felt like a challenge, but they really were the ones that gave me that gift of seeing like, okay, I need to take care of myself in order to be able to give this huge amount of love that I want to share with the world.
Absolutely. And I can understand that's probably your core value is love, and as long as you stay in that zone, you're good to go. You know, that's what
Yeah,
you're meant to be. Absolutely. I can relate.
giving yeah, giving back to yourself as much as you can give to others.
So to give us some strategies on what to do, and I know a lot of people have there's moms out there, you know, I'm a single mom. I have, you know, so many friends that have kids, and some think, oh, I just, you know, I got to live for them, and everyone else comes first. And share a little bit of what you've worked with people, and your own routine, and how you fill yourself up first before you go into give mode.
Yeah, well, of course, I'm a little biased, but massage and yoga are two of my favorites.
I'm with you on that.
But this is an interesting topic because I remember when I was still struggling, and sometimes I would read books or listen to other interviews like this, and people would say, well, like you need to take care of yourself and give yourself self-love, so go take a bubble bath or go for a walk. But when I was struggling with binge eating or just in a really upset place that didn't feel loving, it was like I'm going through the motions, but it's not fixing the issue. And so that's something that I work with my clients on, going even deeper into maybe meditation or just this place. For me, it feels really spiritual, connecting with that source of love within you. And it's not something we're taught to connect with, but when you can discover that, even like a teeny tiny little bit, you realize that like, ah, the universe does have my back, whether you call it like your higher power, your soul, God. I just think that like that's for me where I get that feeling of love. And when I can connect with that, then the actions happen naturally. So going for a walk does feel more loving because I'm connected to nature and it feels more open. And I'm not doing it because I'm like, I need to love myself more, you know? Does that all make sense?
Yeah, that sounds heavy. Like, oh, it's on the to-do list. Love self. Okay, check.
Right.
Got
Totally.
one more task to do. I gotta love on myself today.
Yeah. But I definitely think taking care of your body is such an amazing way to start loving yourself, whether it's eating healthy foods or drinking enough water, getting enough rest. Like you need all of that stuff to physically have a stable mood. I mean, studies have shown that you need that to have your mood lifted, and that's the first start to being a good mom, you know, being able to be present and actually like having the energy to take care of someone else.
Yes, yes. I went through that this past week, and I was supposed to go out with friends. I'm a single mom full time, so breaks are rare and few and far between. It's school time and then when I have a sitter. And I couldn't get
Yeah.
a sitter on Saturday night, and I went into that bitterness, grumpy mode. And I'm like, no, Carrie, you know you're off balance. It's not your daughter's fault. It's nobody's fault. Let's just ride through this. You'll get your alone adult time later, you know. But it's true. You just start to get grumpy, you know, when you put yourself last and you put yourself last and you keep putting yourself down on that list.
Yeah.
It gets to where you're not coming from that space of love, like you mentioned. You just
Yeah, and it doesn't just affect you, it affects the people around you. It's like they want you to
Mhm.
be at your best, feeling
Right,
whole.
right. I feel, and I'm sure you agree, I think that once you master self-love, I think everything else in your life starts to fall into place. You know, your relationships,
Totally.
your business, your health. You say
Yes.
no to the bad and yes to the good.
Yeah, it's like you're in the flow. You just feel whew, like everything clicks together.
Exactly. You're being true to yourself. So meditation's one good aspect. And do you have, and I'll be honest, I need a meditation for dummies book because I'm not really good with it. So whatever you could do to clear, there's so many different types. I mean, what would you suggest a person to start? Like the starter meditation person, where to go, what to do? Should they do it at home? Should they go to a place outside of home? Help us out with this. Clear it up a little bit.
So for me, being pretty like a type A as I was younger. I wouldn't say I'm like that now, but being type A and just like, I had my list and I had to have everything perfect. For me, meditation started with yoga because it's a movement meditation and you don't have to just sit there chanting Om. Because if you have a million things on your to-do list, I can totally get why sitting down to meditate just feels like, oh, I don't have time for this. It's more stressful than it is relaxing. And
Yes.
so for me, yoga was great because there was that aspect of movement involved in it, and it helped teach me that experience of getting out of my head and into my body. And I think that's what meditation is quieting your thoughts. And so for someone that struggles with a meditation practice, I would say get creative. For some people, it's taking a walk. For some people, it's yoga. I think even dancing can be a meditation. For some people, like cooking, that rhythm of just chopping the vegetables and
Hmm.
really like losing all the outside world, just getting into a zone. All of that is a form of meditation, I believe.
Yes. Anything where you can quiet your thoughts. I call it a brain recharge, and I'll set my timer for 15 minutes, and I've really learned to just shut down.
Hmm.
And it was for me, like you said, it was torture. Like, oh, I should be doing this. I gotta do that. Oh, in 10 minutes, I gotta be somewhere else. And oh, it was like someone's punishing me.
Right.
Not good.
Yes.
Yoga is, yeah, I agree with you on yoga. It does. It's just that quiet movement. It's good for your body, your joints, your lymph nodes, everything gets moved around. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. What else do you
Yeah.
want to share with us about, again, yoga? There's different kinds. There's Bikram yoga. There's, again, it gets confusing for some people. They don't know where to start. So should you suggest they
Yeah.
do it at their gym or, gosh, we all want to do it on the beach with you. I've heard that you can.
I would love that. Everybody's invited. Come join me on the
That's right.
beach.
That sounds like the
It's
best.
so right. Yeah. um, oh my gosh, you're right. There are so many types of yoga, and I love that because there's something for everyone. And some people need that structure that Bikram offers. For me, I need like the more creative, I need the music, something that feels more fluid because I've already been a very structured person. So I've I've enjoyed letting my creative side come out and um, it's all just about listening to your body and when you're moving, you get the energy flowing. So when we have emotions, we've been taught from a young age to kind of contract them into our body instead of just allowing them to flow and release them. And so whether it's Bikram yoga or yin yoga, which is the really slow meditative type, or running outside, hiking, hula hooping, whatever it is, that movement is helping release your stuck emotions, all that energy that's been trapped in your body and gets stored in your cells. So um, there is something for everyone, and I think it's easier to just start with some sort of movement, whatever calls to you. Um, and I had a thought earlier when we were talking about it that for me, yoga is almost this magical thing because there have been so many times where I've been stuck with some issue in my mind, like worried about money or a relationship, and I go into yoga with the intention of just clearing my mind, and by the end of the class I'll like check my phone and I have somebody offering me a new job somewhere or the issue just sorts itself out and things seem to clear itself. And that's my passion, yoga, but I don't think it has to be that way only. There any kind of way of clearing your mind and getting back into your body is a way to get out of your own way. And
Right.
the worry never solves anything.
Right. You are so right. Overanalyzing things is not going to do anything. I love
No.
that because that's really what it does. Yoga, you really are taking a step off the path for a minute and just letting God and the universe step in and let things flow. I think we push stuff away too with our energy or worry and all that anxiety shows up and you're actually pushing away the one thing you want. more than anything.
Exactly.
So magic yoga. I'm taking notes.
Yes.
Magic yoga
Yoga for
solves all your
manifestation.
problems.
Uh-huh.
I love that. Okay, so everybody's going to be packing up the yoga studios now. They'll be
Seriously.
there for hours. Come back
Yep.
and your problems resolved. No, I agree with you. You just kind of, that letting go is huge. It's big. I
Yeah.
learned that one too.
Yeah.
I love
And
that.
I just like yoga's what works for me, but there's something for everyone. Like I love running too. It's just getting into your body. Your body is so intuitive. It has the answers. And
Mhm.
like going back to those emotions, for so long I would just like stuff it down with food because I wasn't ready to let that come out. And it doesn't feel safe sometimes when you've been storing it down in it for years and years and years. So,
Yeah, let's talk about emotions because that's my favorite topic. So I think, and if anything, I think our audience probably doesn't even realize energy and motion is an emotion, and where it starts. And when you say stuff like it's trapped in your body and your cells and your, obviously your even your organs, go into that because that's my another favorite topic of mine. Educate
me.
our audience.
I love this topic. So, like I mentioned before, anything that is going wrong with your body, like a dis-ease, is just that. Your body is out of alignment. I think our natural state of being is to feel joyful and relaxed and at peace. And so if something is not feeling good, it's just a warning sign. And it probably started off with that tiny emotion, like some frustration that turned into anger, and you kept shoving it down. And eventually it builds up until your body has to do something to really get your attention and say like, look, you have to take care of yourself now because you've been giving and now you're burnt out, so this is our last resort. And i love I love Louise Hay's work where she connects like different ailments with different emotional thoughts, because your thoughts really do affect your body, your cells, all the way down at a
Mm,
core level.
that's so true. So true. I think and relate to people because I started in the health industry over 10 years ago. That those people that got really sick was usually right after a big catastrophic event in their life, like a death in the family or a divorce or something that really traumatically upset their routine and lifestyle. And next
Yeah.
thing you know, there's a cancer diagnosis or something horrible along that lines. And you
Yeah.
can't tell me it's not connected. Others than certain doctors, think, oh no, no, there's definitely a connection here, and
Right.
not dealing with those emotions. So I love this. This is more importantly, I think people need to realize, and especially I'm sure, and I don't know if you work with women clients and male clients. Do you work with both
I
by
work with
chance?
both, yeah.
Okay.
And
Do you see more of a challenge with men? Because I know that society really teaches them to just pound in and suppress all their feelings. And do you see more challenges with that?
it's interesting because that has been coming up lately. I didn't expect when I went into this work that I would have male clients. Especially because I work a lot with emotional eating, and so I was like, oh, this is women for sure,
Mm-hmm.
all the way through. But male clients contact me often, and it surprises me, and I'm really humbled and honored that they are so vulnerable, and it's such a good reminder for me that you never know the struggle someone's going through. I just assumed like women in the media, we have a harder time because it's such a
Mm-hmm.
body image thing, but men struggle just like we do. So, yes, and I also have noticed when I work with my male clients that creating a language of emotions is something that doesn't come quite as easily. We have to work on that a little bit more because
Yeah.
they're like, I just know angry, sad. Like, what else is there? you know?
I know I don't like that, and I don't want whatever that was to happen again.
Yes,
They're not even sure what it was. They're just like, that was bad, which I think in
exactly.
relationships makes it so hard because women were like pulling out our source of all the feelings we felt that day. And they're like, what in
Totally.
the world?
Yes. I love Alison Armstrong's work, and she talks about how it goes all the way back to our caveman days when women would be sitting around the camp area, and she calls it emptying out your basket, and we would just be like blah 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 blah, and this happened, and da, 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 and we would just talk about our emotions. And men were out hunting where they were focused on one thing, very quiet, and so that's kind of how our brains developed differently.
Hmm. Yep. They need an empty basket campfire.
They do.
I would pay good money to sit around that campfire.
Seriously, I think it'd be quiet for a while, and then all
Yes.
of a sudden it'd get going.
Yep. It would be different, I think, than a woman's version. So did you fix your motorcycle? Yep, sure did. Okay. So what's going on with you?
Exactly.
Oh, it's so beautiful. I don't know what God was thinking. And I want you guys to live together and co-create.
I
So
know.
different. But make it happen.
Figure it out.
Right. It's,
Yeah.
it's it's awesome awareness though. Relationships definitely clue you into who you are and do your best. It's awesome. I love that. So you work with men and women.
Yeah.
So emotional eating's, this is even eye-opening for me. Emotional eating really shows up for guys. That's amazing to me. What kind of stuff do you see?
Well, I don't want to just call out the guys, but I
Yeah.
see it across the board, both with men and women. When we overeat or emotional eat, it's just because we're trying to meet a need, and that's the best way that we know how. And so with my clients, I work often on basically retraining your brain to know that, okay, for the longest time, this has been my habit of fulfilling my need to feel loved or comforted or whatever it is, but it hasn't actually been working because I feel worse afterwards. So what can I do that would work? And it's a process of retraining your brain out of that habit, and showing, everybody knows that logically, like it clicks. Of course this isn't working, but when you can see how it is serving you, then it sort of unlocks the pattern. You're like, oh, it's an act of love in
Hmm.
a strange, warped way, but I could love myself in a better way.
Right. You're right. And most people think, oh, I've had a hard day. I earned my dessert, that ice cream. And I was just as guilty. I was, twice the size I am today when I was, gosh, 7, 8 years ago. Um, my daughter was little. So at the end of the day, I felt like I'm running around after a toddler all day. It's my time to check out with, a big bowl of ice cream. It was like a way of rewarding myself. When really
Yeah,
I just wanted probably someone to take over the duties for about half the day would have been great. I probably
yeah,
wouldn't have wanted that. And I'll go right into, for example, yesterday was my birthday. I
yeah,
hardly ate, and I noticed that, and I had a great salad, don't get me wrong. I was so filled up on love all day because I was with friends literally from 9 o'clock in the morning till midnight.
uh-huh.
So it's funny how that's the last thing you think about is eating when you're filled up on love and you're around your people that matter. And and
Yeah,
I can say in a relationship I'm actually thinner when I'm in a serious relationship because I feel filled up in love. I gain weight after it. Everyone always says, oh, you're fat and happy when you're in a relationship. I for some reason am the opposite. I'm thinner
yes.
in the relationship because I've got that love bucket being filled all the time.
I would
So
say the same for me too. And happy birthday, by the way.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Every birthday is worth celebrating. I mean, it's just the
Yes.
growth part. You're like, yay, I'm not that person anymore.
Uh-huh.
So I look at
Yeah.
birthdays, yay, I'm past that. I passed that milestone of self growth.
Yeah.
Good
It's
stuff.
like your own personal new year, setting new
Yes, it
intentions.
is. Yep,
Yeah.
that's exactly how I look at it. Love that. So
Hmm.
emotional eating. Let's go into, and I like that too. Is that a good awareness to stop and go, why am I eating this at 10 o'clock at night? What's going on? Being aware of that. How do you work with your clients around that and getting their awareness? Do you have them journal it or report back to you? What's your method?
I really like EFT, especially
Mm.
around cravings. That's been awesome because with cravings, a lot of times they go back to a specific memory we've had with a food. Usually it's positive, sometimes it's negative, but most of the time it's like, oh, well, when I had birthday cake when I was 5 years old, that was like such a happy moment. And so when your body wants to feel happy again, thinks, okay, well, I should eat the cake because that's what happened the first time, so I'll keep doing that. Um, and so kind of releasing that grip and that pattern through EFT is really awesome. And another technique I do a lot of neurolinguistic programming and just working with the food. So sometimes I'll have clients push the food away and see what comes up. A lot of times there's a memory that comes up, and it's that, so say you push the food away and you close your eyes and see, what age am I? And you're 6 years old and your parents are fighting. Um, and so then we'll start to work around that. And it's that 6-year-old that goes to the cupboard for the chips at 10 o'clock at night because it wants to feel loved, you know? And so if you can heal that, usually through some meditation or the EFT or NLP, then that part of you will no longer need to crave the food and stuff it down.
I love that. And for the record, I did not have birthday cake yesterday. Shocking.
Oh.
It's like I took it as a sign. Like the waitress was like, "Well, it's on the house," and I'm like, "Well, if I have to, I'll go with the mousse." And they were out of the chocolate mousse. So I was like, "Perfect. I don't want anything."
Good.
So, but I can see what you mean because it's like happy birthday. All the sugar and frosting equals happy times. So you kind of associate the two. When
Yeah.
you're feeling sad, I want to feel happy. Where's that damn cake at?
Yeah, exactly.
Give me some frosting.
You don't even enjoy it. It's just like shoveling it into your mouth. You don't
Yeah.
savor every bite.
Right. You're right. No, I love that. So let's dumb this down a little bit for the audience and explain
Okay.
EFT. I know what it is, but I want you to explain it. What's the EFT?
So it stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's a process of tapping on different acupressure points on the body. And simplest terms, basically, you acknowledge all the crap that's coming up, all the negative emotions, and I think that's a huge important piece because you have to know where you are in order to get where you want to go. So you can't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna push that aside and be happy." You know, sometimes you really do have to say like, "This is where I am, and it feels awful." And once you acknowledge that, your body can release it. And so, in all my work, whether we're doing the tapping or not, I really like for it to be an experience of the body because I think all of us have been in a place where you've read a really inspiring book or you've watched an interview that was awesome and intellectually you get it, but your body is still in that same pattern. And so I always work with my clients to make sure that they embody it at a cellular level and really absorb it into their whole being, physical, intellectual, emotional.
Absolutely. I love EFT and I forget to use it sometimes, especially when you're in that panic mode. You're
Yes.
like spinning because you were triggered emotionally by something. You're triggering to react to whatever the situation is.
Yeah.
But it's just simple as tapping. Of course, people can kind of see what I'm doing on the camera, and there's just a way to do it and, go through the motions of tapping. Shockingly, it works. It calms you right down. I believe it grounds you, gets you kind of clear on what's going on here and asking yourself those questions. Sometimes we just jump in and go for the chocolate cake, which sucks. But if you can get that awareness piece, which is why someone like Erin is like the perfect catalyst to get, master this art of food and the relationship with food. It's such a big deal. It really, really is. And once you master that, you start losing weight, you feel better, you say no to that garbage food. It's such a place of power. Don't you agree when you can? I mean, if you said you were binge eating, you can relate to your clients because that's a scary place too to be.
Oh my
So,
gosh, yes. And that cycle, I mean, I just can remember it so vividly. That cycle of binging and then feeling guilty and then you do it all over again and you say just last bite and then you go back for more. You know, it's such a horrible cycle and all of that is like, ugh, it just brings your vibration down so much. And when your vibration's low, you're not open to anything else that's good in your life. You know, it's just taking away. And that's one of the things that woke me up was when I realized like how many moments have I spent hating my body. Like how many times have I looked in the mirror saying something mean and worrying about food when I was at someone's birthday party and I was like in my head mentally going in this battle with the cheesecake, and instead of just being present and enjoying it, I was like, oh man, I've missed out. I need to like end this so that I can actually start living and enjoying life.
Yes. It feels powerful to be able to control those places. So you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that food, the emotion of food, how is this linked to money? Because that's pretty fascinating all by itself.
Yeah. So I guess it starts with the idea that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And so for me, I started to see this pattern um, that the beliefs I had about food also ran similar to the beliefs I had about money. But you could also say, same with how I related to time, like there's not enough. Same with
Mm-hmm.
love, there
Yep.
aren't enough men out there, whatever, that those beliefs were just like stringing through all of those areas. But for me, food and money are my passion. I love working with entrepreneurs, especially because when you don't have that structure of time, uh, that's when sometimes some binge eating comes in. You're like stressed because you need to make all the money on your own. Um, and there are two layers to this connection between food and money that I see. The first one is just purely physical. If you're feeding your body junk food, then studies have shown that you're more likely to be depressed. Sugar causes depression. It brings down your immunity, so you're more likely to get sick. It affects your memory, your ability to learn, and so you don't even have as much blood flow going to your brain. All of that stuff gets bogged down, and when you're not feeling your best, then you're not doing your best in your job or your work. So that's the first component. And what I saw was this second layer, and that's what really excites me because our beliefs about food and money are often coming from our second chakra. And okay, that might sound a little woo-woo, but I'll explain it in unwoo-woo terms.
I love woo woo. That's my world. But you can explain it for our
Okay.
audience.
So um, it's about enjoying and feeling deserving. And if you think every time that you eat something, I shouldn't have eaten that, I ate too much, I'm going to get fat, then you're probably thinking the same thing about purchases because you're a consumer, right? You're a consumer of food and a consumer of products, and you're probably thinking, I shouldn't have bought that. You spent too much. You can't afford it. It's this like feeling that you have to control things and keep it tight, and there isn't enough room for flow and trusting that the universe has your back, or you're being taken care of at a greater level. Your body has the ability to absorb the nutrients and take care of you no matter what you eat. And same with money, that the money you spend comes back to you. It's those disempowering beliefs can run in both areas very similarly. And I noticed that even the language we use is the same, like being consumers, getting fed up. It's so closely linked that I believe healing one area will start to open up the other.
I couldn't agree more. That is so true. And it does work. You do say those guilty things. And I'm sure you're not telling people again to binge eat or binge shop.
Right.
You're not telling the world to just max out your credit cards.
Yeah, no, of course not.
But it's true. You do say stuff like that. I mean, even this weekend I was shopping and like trying to justify each purchase. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. I'm going to buy this. It's so silly that I would have to justify. I work hard. I do great. I work with entrepreneurs too, and I make them very wealthy. So why wouldn't I not have that same flow? So
Yeah.
like how silly of me to ridicule myself. Like, do you really need that, Carrie? All those stupid beliefs and self chatter and mind beating up your mind kind of crap that we do. But I love that. So very
Yeah.
true.
And And so on the like the positive side, if you can have a meal and really savor it and enjoy every bite, you're practicing that art of allowing and receiving to really just let the world give back to you. You know, this is like the very basics of what our life comes down to, feeding yourself nutrients. And so when we can learn how to receive our food, we digest it better and absorb those nutrients and really have more vitality. And also, I've seen that we start to absorb other good things into our life. You know, people just start to reach out and say nice things, and you feel deserving of love and deserving of more abundance in your life.
Receiving's huge. I don't think people realize that. It's a
Yeah.
programming thing too of when we're little, you know, and someone compliments you, you're like, oh, and you shy away from the compliment, and you get
Yeah.
bashful, and you look down at your shoes, you know.
Mhm.
Um, I can even remember an uncle saying to me when I was probably 7, "How did you get so pretty?" And I just said, "I don't know. I guess God made me that way," and I didn't know what else to say. But and I think I just from there on just was like, "That's weird. It makes me feel funny." But when you shut yourself down from even compliments, you're shutting yourself down from so much more. And I've
Yes.
really worked with my clients on this too, is the receiving the flow, money, great things, compliments, good relationships, love. You know,
Yeah.
it's amazing. We'll give all day, but as soon as
Right.
someone gives back, it feels funny, you know, and they'll push it away. No, I'm okay. No, you don't have to pay me for that, you know, that sort of thing. And that's not a, it's got to be a two-way street. You're right. It's got to be a flow completely.
Right. And it comes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, that I have to remind myself of this all the time, that allowing myself to receive actually helps everyone else around me. And that includes money, because you know when you have more you can give more. And same with food. If I can absorb the nutrients that I'm consuming, then I know I'm going to be more energized to work with my clients and have like really great energy throughout the day.
It's so true. So true. I catch
Yeah.
myself. I'm getting better.
Yeah.
I'm a work in
Well,
progress like
work in
everybody
progress
else.
for all of
I
us.
catch myself. I'm like, no, Carrie, it's your birthday. Just let them do this for you. You know, like, oh, I've got your drink. Let me pay for it. No, you don't have to. Is what first starts to go. Oh, just let me receive. Shut up, Carrie, and just
Yeah.
receive. So funny. It is. That's when I think giving seems so natural for me, and I really had to work on the receiving part. Um,
Yeah.
that's my
Me too.
my thing. Yep, we're natural
Uh-huh.
givers for
Yes.
sure. So tell people how you work with people and work with clients. Do they have to be on the beach of Santa Barbara to see you, or how does that work?
No, I work over Skype or FaceTime, and of course, everyone's welcome to come to Santa Barbara and do beach yoga. But I love working with clients virtually, and um, it just makes my life light up. I'm so grateful. So yeah, I work one-on-one, and I do have some group programs starting soon too. So that is pretty exciting. And I send out newsletters that help people stay on track with all of this stuff too, just giving as much free resources because it's something I'm so passionate about, that um, I really want everyone to feel free from this negative mind chatter of food and money stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why we go in this industry. We could just be self-help gurus and just keep working on ourselves, but it's the giving back. Isn't it true? Don't you feel like once you've mastered something, I love that I get to blog about it. You know, it's like, ooh, I get to share this with the world now. Instead of
Uh-huh.
keeping this good news to myself, let me share it. How many people can I reach to also
Totally.
inspire
Yeah.
them? Yeah, it's so much more fun than just learning it and going, cool, all right, what's
Yeah.
next?
Uh-huh.
You get to give
Yes.
back. That's the beautiful part of coaching is just it's totally full circle, you know,
Yeah.
beautiful industry to be in.
And you know that they're giving back too, so it creates this ripple.
It
I love,
does.
yeah, I love seeing my clients start to shine. It's just like ugh, makes my heart swell
Yep.
up.
Yep. Those are my days too, and I just want to do cartwheels throughout the living room and
Totally.
celebrate right with them. Absolutely. I'm all
Yep.
about the
Get that
results.
emotion moving through your body.
That's right. And yoga and all the other things. Magic yoga, guys. Remember magic yoga. Don't forget that. So beautiful. So you do work with clients virtually, of course,
Yes.
and locally too.
Hmm.
So what's the best way to get in touch with you? Should they go to your website? What's the best way to connect with you? And of course, we'll keep links in the body of this YouTube video as well.
Okay, great. So you can connect with me at my website, which is www.erindiangelis.com, and that's DIAngelis. And then you can connect there just by joining my list. And then I also am on Facebook, so facebook.com/Erin DiAngelis. And those are the two best ways to reach me. I'm also on other platforms, but that's where I hang out the most.
Right. I'm like
Yeah.
you. I'm a Facebook junkie. If you want to find me, that's the best spot.
Yes, working.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Connecting and building relationships. It's a great tool for that. I
Yes.
love this. I love this. Any final thoughts or anything else that we didn't cover you want to share with our audience today?
Um, Final thought is that I just want to acknowledge if you're watching this and food or money issues have been a struggle for you, that it's such a process. And if you have that desire to heal that relationship you've had and end the emotional eating, your desire to change is enough. You'll start to come across the right people, the right products that are going to help you in your journey. And I just want to send out so much compassion and love to anyone going through that because I know how hard it is, but I also know that there's gold on the other side. You know, the amount of crap that you go through is the amount of awesomeness on the other
Mhm.
side of it when you're ready to like step on
Mhm.
that journey.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just sending out lots of love to all those people who are ready to take that step.
That's some good news. So if your pile of crap is pretty high, you've got some awesomeness over here to grab onto.
Exactly.
Here's a reward. It does get better. It does. It does. I love to inspire people because I'm living proof. It does get better. Just keep moving forward. And you're right. You're reminding people there's tools, there's people, there's books, there's wonderful, empowering tools all around us to help
Yeah.
us and guide us on our journey. You don't have to
Yeah,
do it by ourselves. You know.
totally. Oh my gosh, I mean, if you do it on yourself, it could take 50 years. Like having someone who's been through it is just such a blessing.
Yes.
And I love
Yes.
that quote, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yes. Uh-huh. That's the truth. And we can speak with that too with clients, in coaching. The best client is an open-minded one. I always tell people that. What's your best
Yeah,
client? An open-minded one I can work with. You're
right.
right. They have to be open. They have to be ready to be the students. So beautiful,
Totally.
beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
awesome, guys. I'm going to wrap up today, and I will include the link to get in touch with Erin and her website in the body of this email and YouTube video. You'll see that there. And she is a true delight. I've known her for a while now, and I just love her to pieces. She's all heart, and that's the ideal coach. If you ever want anybody on your back, you want someone that's all heart and compassion by all means. So good stuff. So thank
Thank
you
you,
so much
Carrie.
for joining us today, Erin.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you, guys. Much love. And find solutions in your situation. They're all around you. Much love.